Hey, welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You're here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarland, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It must be going okay. We're taking a break at a good break time. It's not 7:30 at night. I like this. It's good.
I know I'm
Perfect. I
feeling
needed a
good.
break too. It's 3:30 or so where I live, and I'm at that lull right there.
Yeah, can I tell you, it's funny. Not that yesterday was bad, not that any day's bad, I guess. I mean, there have been some, this whole pandemic time, there are obviously ups and downs, but I feel like today was a great day. Do you want to know why my day started off great?
I do want to know. I was trying to figure out if I had anything to do with it. Feeling like I probably didn't. So go ahead, please tell me.
No, but the funny thing is, it would have been even better if you had said, no, not really interested in what you have to say. No, I started my day with Tom Hammond and some of my friends over at Paychex.
Oh,
And
great.
we were working on a presentation. And anytime I talk to Tom, obviously, they sponsor our podcast, which is a whole
Yeah.
separate thing. But just as a human, like that guy is so smart and just yeah, I love talking with Tom and Tracy and the crew over there. So anyway, shout out to Paychex. They started my day off right. Made me happy.
Yeah, they're awesome, and we do love those guys. They've been so great to us over the years. Hope to get back to Rochester, my former hometown, someday soon.
Right.
We'll go visit them again once we can get back out there. Yeah, absolutely. And I gave a big shout out to our friend Tracy last week on the work break as well, that I know she saw. So
I know.
yeah, so I my day was less exciting or positive, and I'm going to have one complaint, but then I'm going to try to spin it a little bit more positive. So,
okay.
And these two things aren't directly related, although it's going to sound like they are.
Okay.
So one of the things, the Zoom fatigue thing is a thing. There's hundreds of articles now been written about it. It's an actual thing. It's not just our perception of it. It's a real thing. We can get a little burned out. We can get a little tired. For many people, not everybody's the same with this kind of thing, right? Everybody's on the different spectrum of how open they like to be. I am not a huge fan of the video calls. I like doing this show. This is fun because I think I told you once on the show, it's just like you and I talking. I don't have any conception of who else is watching, and I honestly don't.
Millions of fans don't.
I honestly don't even care, but we're just having a chat, which is great. But you get on these Zoom calls, especially with people. I'm doing tons of demos right now.
Right.
For the top HR products awards process, just tons of them, 2, 3 every single day for the last couple of weeks. So we're getting on these phone calls often with people I don't know and I've never met. And so for me, as a generally introverted kind of person, I don't really want people seeing where I live. You can see my one little corner of one wall.
What are they seeing? Like,
that's it. I'm not comfortable with that really. I don't really, And so today someone started asking me about the shirt I was wearing, right?
Right.
And I didn't really want to engage anybody in a conversation about it. I didn't want to answer questions. I don't want to have those kind of conversations about like where I live or anything like that. I'm happy to do it here because, like I said, I don't really have the perception that anybody's listening. So anyway, I just got me off on the wrong foot, and I think here's the whole point of the rant.
Okay.
I think we do need to be sensitive that not everybody kind of feels the same way that we do about kind of sharing certain things and a question that you may feel is very innocuous, very non-intrusive, very non-personal to other people, often myself, Trish, feels very personal. And I'm not super comfortable. And I think there are other people like me as well. So introverts out there, chime in if you're listening to the show. I'd love to hear your point of view. So anyway, that got me thrown off a little bit and I wasn't too super excited about that. But I will say this, the product that they showed us was awesome. And so they rallied a little bit and I don't want to embarrass them too much. Should I say their name or maybe I shouldn't even bother because I kind of picked on the guy a little bit.
No, I think if you actually enjoyed the demo, the product, and it's valuable, I would say, of course, share it.
Okay, it was cool. It's a company called Grokr. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I know them, yes.
It was really cool. They've come up with this way to help engage people who are all working from home together in kind of remote classes. And so you can all sign up to take like the same fitness class, like with your work team, if that was something your work team was into, which I don't know if my work team is into that, but you could like all sign up together and take a simultaneous class. And it's a way of kind of binding people together who are disparately working all over the country or all over just everywhere where they work. So it was a really cool technology. It's just, again, fine. The Zoom fatigue thing is real. And I think we just need to be sensitive to that.
You do, but can I sort of be devil's advocate for a moment, like I often am with you? A couple things. Number one, if you don't want to be asked about your shirt, don't wear a shirt that says something that's under your control. Not picking on you, people in general, right? If you put things out there that are visible, people may ask you about them. And the reason they do it, I'll tell you why, because I'm absolutely an extrovert. It's because you're looking for some way to make a human connection with a person, especially if you don't know them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see your point. Yeah, I see your point. So yeah, well, maybe that's what I got to do. Like, I'm already thinking about how do I like change the background on the calls, but then maybe I need to just go to the plain shirts or something if I don't want to talk about it. But
let me ask you this: if you were to have met them, right? For example, at a conference. Okay, you would have probably been in a suit. So the likelihood of them saying something about your tie would have been maybe smaller than about a t-shirt you're wearing, first of all. But think about some of the other kind of small talk things that people do when we meet in person that you might make note of, or, it might be, where did you go to college, or do you have children? Or
yes, I don't know. We've talked about this before on the show. And we've talked about it like offline over the years.
Right.
My attitude is this: I never ask people those kinds of questions. Like I will never ask somebody I don't know, are you married? Do you have kids? Where did you go to school? Like, I'm never asking that, because I spin it around to say, I don't want to talk about that stuff with somebody I don't know, somebody I literally just met. I do not want to talk about my personal life with them. So I assume everybody, and wrongly, but you're saying, but I think you do too, because you're comfortable answering questions like that, making that connection. So you assume that people are okay to talk about that. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of, you project how you feel about it on other people too.
Because we're taught that as children. We say, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. And I guess that's the essence then. Not everybody wants to be treated the way you want to be treated.
But that's how we're trained from birth.
So I guess that's really not really correct, is it? Like, not in every case, right?
It's not, but I do think that I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. When I was in Colorado, I was in a shoe store, and there was, look, we're not getting a lot of human interaction. We all got masks on and whatever. And the store manager was very nice. William, his name is William. Anyway, we were talking, and he was from Chicago. Now look, I'm St. Louis area. Chicago's 4.5 hour drive from here. You would have thought we were like neighbors. We were like, oh my gosh, you're from Chicago. Wait, I know some people from Chicago, and he knows some people from St. Louis. Where have you been to this restaurant? You hear that? There's static. Can you hear static?
Yeah, I've been hearing you fine. It got a little faded a little bit. I think I still hear you. I can still hear the story.
Okay, got a little static. Apologies for that. Okay. Whatever that was weird. But my point is that I do think that we seek out commonalities with people, and we'll make such a huge stretch. I know definitely when we've, traveled both together or separate globally, it's like you meet someone else from the United States and you're like, oh, I'm here in Dubai and you're from the US and I'm from the US. And the next thing you know, you're best friends. Mine was that way when I met my friend Patty Russo, who used to be Meatloaf's singer. And here I was in London and went outside a pub, and she was from the US, I was from the US. We start talking, and that's who that was. So I think that many people look for commonalities that way.
Yeah, it's just weird. I think I don't know that there's a right or wrong. I don't think there is.
Right.
I think.
Look at it.
I guess if I'm a little bit biased, I would say I would lean towards, don't assume someone wants to be that open with you until
I agree.
You kind of figured out that's the case. And often it's by them kind of revealing themselves to you. You know what I mean?
I feel like you were revealing yourself with your shirt, though, a little bit. I felt like that was a little bit of an open door there.
Really? See, I would never do that, I don't think, with someone I don't know.
Wearing that shirt, I'd be like, oh, did you go to South Carolina? Like, what's the scoop there?
Yeah, and I have a kind of a warped view of this thing. I think I'm way too far on the wrong end of the spectrum, right, in terms of what I think is like a personal question.
Right.
But, and that's fair enough. But anyway, there's other news I wanted to mention. And it's actually, also, this show needs to be a little bit more positive. I wonder if I should go to item number 2 I had.
Well, I have a positive question for you.
All right, let's go to positive. I won't use item number 2. It's also a little bit negative.
Yeah, let's not go negative. Okay, so mine, I want to give a shout out to the Nudo, Nudo House of St. Louis. I went to, after my fabulous morning with Tom and the Paychecks gang, I went for lunch with my kids, and we went to a ramen restaurant in University City, the Del Mar Loop, here in St. Louis. And I'll tag them because their food was amazing. But the reason I mention it isn't just because they were amazing. The reason we went was because they were doing a mashup of their ramen with Lion's Choice. Do you have Lion's Choice for you guys?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's like a roast beef fast food restaurant.
Okay.
So good. But they took the carved roast beef from, with the au jus and the whole works to taste like that. And So my question is this. It was the most wonderful mashup for ramen. And it got me thinking about mashups. Like, whether it's things like, if you've heard of Cranch, which is like ketchup and ranch dressing mashup that you can buy in the store, or think about like...
I almost want to stop you on that one, but I'll let it go. I have never heard of Cranch, but that's fine.
Look in your grocery store, in the ketchup aisle. No, but things like, there are cereal mashups that are great. There are shoe collaborations. I know you're a shoe guy. There are games. I've seen I was trying to think Sorry and Simon, I think, is a mashup game now. There are dance songs that are mashups. My question is this for you, Steve Bowes.
Yes.
What is your favorite mashup of any kind?
I'm sorry. I was looking at my phone. I was trying to go, and I found it. So before I answer that question, I'm going to buy myself a little time to think. You mentioned ramen. If you haven't seen it, go on Netflix, go on Amazon, wherever you can find it. I watched it on a plane.
Okay.
Watched the documentary called Ramen Heads. Ramen Heads, Heads. It's a documentary about the competition that they do in Japan every year. It's done by the top food magazine in Japan, to name the top ramen chef in all of Japan, which they take incredibly seriously. And it's a documentary about this one ramen chef in particular and his efforts to win that prize. And it's a Japanese documentary, subtitles fantastic. It's probably an hour and a half. Ramen Heads. I know your kids love ramen. They would like this documentary too, I think. So find Ramen Heads and watch it. Honestly, Trish, this may be too obscure, but that would be a great Workplace Hall of Fame movie too, because there's a lot of workplace stuff in that movie as well. The staff. So what's my favorite mashup? Oh my gosh. It's a really tough one. That you don't mean like a combination or a pairing. You mean two different things coming together. Because, I'm thinking pulled pork and slaw, is probably my favorite. But that's not really a mashup. Is that a mashup?
That's a mashup. Like something that would not seem incredibly obvious. Yeah, I think that's a little bit unusual, don't you think?
I love it. I think it's a classic combination. I'm going to think harder about that one. That's a really good question that I don't have a super answer for.
Maybe we do a separate show on just different kinds of mashups. Like I said, there are so many things, foods and music. And
now I want ramen, though. Ever since you mentioned ramen, I was like, what's that movie called? And I couldn't think of it. It took me a second to figure it out. Now I want some ramen. I haven't even been, honestly, Trish, I haven't even been to a restaurant, in really, a little bit of takeout here and there. I've not gone to eat in a restaurant since March. So, I would offer this. I will say that the few that I've been in now, I do feel like people are taking safety very, very seriously. Today, for example, every single worker had on masks. It was a huge restaurant. There were only maybe 4 tables with people, and they were very spread out. Lots of sanitizer, so I think that, if you want to get out, it's probably okay. And can I say just one thing on that too? Like whether it's a restaurant or it's a retail store or just any facility that lay off the frontline workers who are telling you to put your mask on. Look, they're just trying to do their job for very low pay and really tough conditions. Quit hassling the people working at the Walmart to tell you to put your mask on. Oh my God, I know the people who watch the show aren't probably those kind of people, but if there's anything that's enraged me more lately is seeing some of those reports about these poor frontline workers getting absolutely harassed. And in some cases, I read about a guy, I think it was a Trader Joe's, he got whacked over the head with a wooden paddle by an irate customer, which happened yesterday. So quit it.
I tell you though, I have a little pet peeve on that though. I absolutely wear your mask. Just that's right. Like we all agree, but I feel like a little bit, and I know you're not as on social media as much maybe as I am, but whether I'm on Facebook or Instagram, I really don't need my friends constantly every day saying wear the damn mask. like every day. Like the people you're preaching to already are wearing the mask.
Yeah, no, I'm spending most of my time on Pinterest, Trish, these days, and I don't see a lot of the mask preaching there. It's mostly just pictures of food.
I may need to move because I tell you what, I'm sorry, I'm starting to not unfriend people, but definitely unfollow them. I'm just like, if you're
no, it's the same thing anytime there's a holiday. It's the same thing anytime there's a holiday, Trish. It's like, remember what this holiday is really about. It's not about hot dogs, it's about the soldiers, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of that on social media too.
That's probably true, I guess. I don't know. I'm just being picky now. All right.
Well, I like today. A little Tuesday ranty show. I dig it a little bit. Check out Ramen Heads. That's my final recommendation.
Rants, ramen, and Tom Hammond. I love it. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening in and watching as always. Hey, tell us what you like to put in ramen. If you've got a ramen place you want to shout out, retweet us and put that in the retweet. Tell us what else you like mashed up. I'd be curious what other mashups there are that are good. All right. Awesome. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.